You're listening to the Steven Tauriello Show, building a platform of liberty for people in search of truth with a dash of hope and a life worth living. The Steven Tauriello Show. And now, here's Steven.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the show. As always, thank you for tuning in. Very, very disturbing events that have taken place in the last few days over the weekend and ever since these savage attacks on Israel happened. All over the country, people are cheering and chanting for the death of Israel and how this is just the beginning and how the Jews got what they deserved. Extremely concerning stuff. And it got me thinking, what if these people are actually the ones that are going to be carrying out the terrorist attacks domestically? And then it also got me thinking, maybe the FBI should start to focus their attention more on actual real domestic terrorists and not Republicans and Trump supporters. Now the FBI has real domestic terrorists to go after, to investigate, to set up, to spy on, to phone tap, to entrap. And so I'm not the only one saying this. Not only has Ted Cruz come out and warning the United States and warning the people, but you also had Christopher Wray come out and essentially say the same thing, how people need to stay vigilant. I told my listeners, I told you guys to make sure if you have a gun, keep the gun with you, keep it close, make sure it's operational, clean it. I took all my firearms out. I cleaned all of them. I field stripped them, cleaned them, made sure they're in working order. And this is exactly what people need to do because we just don't know what's going to happen in this country. I feel like it's something's about ready to come to a head here. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. So a potential terrorist attack against the United States is more likely now than at any time since September 11th. According to Senator Ted Cruz. He said, quote, "In my judgment, the risk of a serious terrorist attack in the United States is right now greater than it has been any time since September 11th. And Senator Ted Cruz warned on his verdict, which is his podcast, and it aired on Friday. The Texas senator said a confluence of a number of factors has made the United States vulnerable, but none more critical than the consequences of the Hamas terrorist attack on Israel and the Biden administration's border policies. Quote, one, obviously, the most significant war in Israel in 50 years, the most significant attack on Israel in 50 years. He added, number two is 2.5 years of open borders on our southern border, 7.6 million people coming in illegally, including a very significant number of people on the terror watch list, and an exposure that there could be a significant number of terrorists from countries in the Middle East who have come into this country in the past 2.5 years. Since Hamas terrorists launched an attack on Israel on the 7th, the Israel-Hamas conflict has claimed over 3,000 lives on both sides. According to the Associated Press, meanwhile, 29 Americans are confirmed dead while 15 are unaccounted for, according to the State Department. Mr. Cruz's warning comes as reports that Customs and Border officials have apprehended multiple individuals from, get this, Lebanon and Syria at the southern border in the last few days. In fiscal year 2023, border officials apprehended 151 illegal immigrants who were on the FBI's terrorism watch list at the southern border. The number is at an all-time high, up from 98 in fiscal year 2022 and 15 in fiscal year 2021. Quote, what worries me much more is how many people on the terror watch list are among the gotaways, Mr. Cruz said, referring to illegal immigrants who are not apprehended. Compared to illegal immigrants who voluntarily turn themselves in to the border agents, the senator explained that gotaways are more likely to have, quote, seriously dangerous characteristics. Individuals that could be convicted murderers, convicted rapists, gang members, or terrorists coming to America with the intention of committing acts of terror. Yes, because the only reason why you wouldn't turn yourself in with the rest of the people is if you know you're not going to be able to be let in, and you're specifically trying to get away. You're trying to hide. Those are the ones that people need to worry about. I'm not saying nobody should worry about the other ones getting through, and obviously they're not, security is diminishing on our southern border, not increasing. The only thing they're fixing, they're not securing the southern border, they're just streamlining the process. They're just allowing them in faster. That's all they're doing. And the ones you really got to worry about are the ones that don't want to go through that process, because obviously there's a reason. So, on top of Ted Cruz saying that, but you have Christopher Wray that has essentially said the same thing. And I got some audio here where he was doing a speech, and I don't know where it was. I don't know where he was doing a speech at, but this is what Christopher Wray had to say on Friday when talking about the threats to attacks and the threats to American safety here on U.S. soil. Here, check this out.
We remain committed to continue confronting those threats, both here in the United States and overseas. In this heightened environment, there's no question we're seeing an increase in reported threats, and we've got to be on the lookout, especially for lone actors who may take inspiration from recent events to commit violence of their own. So I'd encourage you to stay vigilant, because as the first line of defense, protecting our communities, you're often the first to see the signs that someone may be mobilizing to violence. I'd also ask you to continue sharing any intelligence or observations you may have, and on our end, we're committed to doing the same so that together we can safeguard our communities.
And so there you go. Maybe Christopher Wray is starting to realize that the biggest threat to this country is actual, real domestic terrorists, not Trump supporters and Republicans. Just going to throw that out there. Maybe instead of focusing all their attention on Trump supporters that they've now classified as domestic terrorists, imagine that. They have put Trump supporters and Republicans in the same class as actual real domestic terrorists, like the Hamas terrorists. Is that not incredible? So my advice to Christopher Wray is to pull your head out of your ass and start realizing that we actually may have real terrorists here in this country. And no, not just Donald Trump supporters and MAGA extremists. It's stuff like what we're watching right now with our intel agencies and, like the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Homeland Security, by these people being distracted by political motives. What's going to end up happening is there's going to be a real terrorist attack in the United States. That is exactly how something like that would happen. And so I just wanted to put that out there in the first few minutes of the show, just so everybody's aware. Like I said, stay vigilant, all right? Watch your back, stay frosty, all those good terms. Just be vigilant. If you see something, say something. If you see something that's not in order, if you see something that's out of the ordinary, just double check. That's it. I do this very frequently. I'm very aware of my surroundings, and so should everybody, regardless of whether we're at high risk for a terrorist attack or not. People should always stay vigilant and be aware of your surroundings. Things like when you go into a building, find out where the second exit is. Always know the door that you came in, and always make sure you make eye contact with another door, which would be a second escape route. That is some of the best stuff that you can do. Best practices to keep yourself safe, and so on and so forth. So I just wanted to let my listeners know that it wasn't just me on Friday talking about how we're very vulnerable right now, and the likelihood of seeing a terrorist attack on U.S. soil is very high, much, much higher than it's been since 9/11. And so in that aspect, I do agree with Senator Ted Cruz. So, all right, with that being said, getting that out of the way, I think we need to definitely, on this show, I want to try and do both. I want to keep my listeners up to date with what is happening abroad in Israel with the Israel and Hamas attacks and all that stuff going over there in the Middle East. But I think it's equally as important to make sure we keep up with the news happening here domestically, but not just terrorist attacks, but more notably the Biden administration. This administration right here is the cause of all these problems. So when we talk about getting to the root cause of issues, the root cause of all the stuff, all the crazy stuff that has happened in the last 3 years is the Biden administration. The Biden administration is the root cause of all these problems. All right? It's the Biden administration's DOJ that is hunting down Trump supporters all over the country. It's the Biden administration's intel agencies that are hunting down Republicans and Trump supporters. It's the Biden administration that has weaponized its justice system against Americans. The Biden administration that has opened the border and allowed illegal immigrants in here by the millions, and most definitely allowed very, very bad people in here along with those millions of people. I'm not saying all the illegals are bad. I'm saying if you have 7.5 million people that have entered this country illegally, even if you were to take a small fraction of a percent of that 7.5 million, you're talking a very large number, 50,000, 100,000, hell, 20,000. 20,000 is a huge number, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking like multiple combat divisions worth of people, military age men that have been let into this country. And like I said, even if a small fraction of that 7.5 million has bad intentions, you're talking about a lot of potentially very dangerous people. So it's the Biden administration that is the root cause of all the problems that we're seeing now. Nothing more, nothing less. You can't blame it on anything else. The Biden administration is the destruction of our economy. It's the Biden administration that has brought us to the brink of World War III and all these foreign conflicts. And it shouldn't be a surprise to anybody that Joe Biden is so bad on foreign policy because Robert Gates, Barack Obama's Secretary of Defense, has said this multiple times, once in his book and once doing an interview with CNN-NBC. Joe Biden has been wrong on every single major foreign policy issue his entire career, very long career, 50 years. And so the Biden administration is indeed the root cause of all these problems. And so I think it's vital that we focus on the Biden administration. And this story right here is more notably focusing on Joe Biden himself and why the Biden administration and Joe Biden himself is a danger to this country. So I got an article here from John Solomon over there at Just the News. And it was just released today. Were Joe Biden's classified memos valuable to Hunter's clients? And the Congress wants to know. So nearly a year after the American public was informed that Joe Biden had classified documents at his home and his think tank office, lawmakers in Congress have a pressing question. Was there anything in those memos valuable to his son Hunter's overseas business clients? I know the Democrats are desperately trying to not talk about Joe Biden's classified document scandal. Yes, Joe Biden had classified documents too, and in all reality, it is a whole lot worse than Joe Biden. So when they say, oh, the Joe Biden classified document problem is not even comparable to Donald Trump's, they would be right. Joe Biden's is much, much worse. And I'm going to tell you why. The main reason why is Joe Biden shouldn't have had classified documents to begin with because he was never president. The Presidential Records Act does not cover Joe Biden. Number two, Joe Biden had these classified documents for a long time, since being a senator and vice president. And number three, he was keeping the classified documents, which seems like all over Delaware, most notably in his garage next to his midlife crisis Corvette. So Joe Biden has some big problems when it comes to classified documents. And so every time these people talk about Donald Trump and these classified documents, people need to realize Donald Trump's allowed to have classified documents, okay? Joe Biden is not. And in fact, the president is the only person that is allowed to have classified documents because he's the only person that has unilateral declassification or classification authority. And so when it comes to vice presidents and senators, there's no reason why Joe Biden should have classified documents in his garage. And so when they're talking about, when the Democrats talk about secrets being leaked to our enemies, or whatever it is that they say, I think they should be a little bit more concerned about classified documents and military secrets being stowed away in a garage where Hunter Biden had access to. Okay? And so it's not just me asking these questions. Now it's the House Oversight rightfully asking these questions. And so the issue catapulted to prominence recently when House Intelligence Committee Chairman Mike Turner showed up at the House Oversight Committee's first impeachment inquiry and said that there was a real reason to fear that Hunter Biden's clients had an interest in the memos that Joe Biden improperly secreted away at his home and office. Quote, obviously his son was receiving payments from Romania, Russia, Ukraine, China. If there are in those documents that relate to, for example, the prosecutor in Ukraine or Burisma itself, or other aspects of Ukraine or any of the parties or individuals, obviously, that were making payments to Hunter Biden, that would be relevant, would it not? House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer told Just the News that he is now pressing the Justice Department and Special Counsel Robert Hur, who is investigating the Biden classified documents, to reveal to Congress the subjects and the nature of the memos. For those of you that don't know, Joe Biden wasn't around on Saturday and Sunday, which is, I think, when the attacks took place on Israel. Joe Biden wasn't around because Joe Biden was being interviewed by this special counsel, Robert Hur. And if you're a Democrat, or you don't listen to the show, or you don't listen to alternative media, you wouldn't know that. In fact, if not for alternative media and conservative media outlets, Democrats wouldn't even know Joe Biden was being investigated because we haven't heard anything about it. We haven't got any leaks. There have been no leaks coming from this special prosecutor. Now, I'm not saying we should, because leaks are bad, but when you have one special prosecutor that's investigating Donald Trump and his classified documents leaking like a sieve, and you have another special prosecutor that's investigating Joe Biden and his classified documents, we don't have no leaks at all. What does that tell you? So that seems kind of suspicious, does it not? It seems to me that they're purposely leaking documents. They're purposely leaking information on the Trump investigation and not the Joe Biden investigation. So that, I don't know, maybe they can influence an election. Maybe they can give fodder to the Democrats' base, to Joe and Mika and the Morning Blow Show and all the radical leftist Democrats. But somehow, some way, they're just not one piece of information leaks from the Robert Hur investigation, who is investigating Joe Biden for his document scandal. I don't know. It seems kind of fishy to me. So the Biden White House has refused to give Congress any detailed information about the documents, and frustrations are growing. Quote, well, that's the question we have to the special counsel, Comer told Just the News. We need to know exactly what type of information the president had mishandled. We need to know were any of these documents related to any of the people or countries that Joe Biden's family received substantial payments from. If so, then we have a big problem on our hands. While Joe and Hunter Biden deny they did anything wrong, there has been concern about a 2014 memo located on Hunter Biden's laptop turned over to the FBI that several GOP senators have said reads like a government briefing on sensitive Ukraine issues. Quote, when I read the email, very, very detailed analysis of what's happening in Ukraine. Actually, far more detailed than anything I got as a U.S. Senator from the State Department. As a scene setter prior to going into Ukraine or any other foreign region. Senator Ron Johnson said earlier this year, quote, this email reads as if it was cut and pasted from an official government briefing. An official government briefing that one would infer his father had received. The Washington Post, however, and other Biden defenders suggest the information in the Ukraine email could very well have come from open source information, not government intelligence. Comer said part of his concern is that the National Archives has now revealed it has as many as 29,000 emails between Joe Biden when he was vice president, and Hunter Biden and his business partners. A pernicious communication system that lawmakers fear could have been abused to transmit sensitive government information between father and son. Joe Biden, as vice president, was communicating excessively with Hunter Biden and his associates, who were, peddling access to Joe Biden for enemies all around the world, Comer said. So we need to know if part of these payments were received in exchange for classified information. I think that's a simple question that shouldn't be hard to answer. We need to try to know exactly what documents the president mishandled and what he had in his possession. The White House claims it did not discover the documents until November 2022, and aides then waited several weeks before notifying the public. Comer revealed last week in a letter to the Justice Department that the Biden White House actually first began reviewing the documents back in March of 2021, and at least 5 officials had involvement with the memos over the next 18 months. And here's the full timeline. And this timeline goes through, you got March 18th in 2021, Annie Tomasini visited the Penn Biden Center to take inventory of President Biden's documents. So these people were all trying to essentially cover for Joe Biden. I can't understand for the life of me why all of our taxpayer-funded government institutions are so dedicated to covering up for Joe Biden and the Biden family. And I'm not talking about just close aides to Biden. I'm talking about the Secret Service going to try and retrieve the gun that Hunter Biden or his fiance at the time or whatever it is left in a trash can. Like, why is the Secret Service? Hunter Biden didn't have Secret Service protection then. Why is the Secret Service going around and trying to cover and clean up the messes after Hunter Biden? So it's not just places like the National Archives that's obviously covering for the Bidens, but Secret Service, Chris Wray over at the FBI, the Department of Justice, the Attorney General in Delaware, David Weiss. So we have a massive cover-up operation for the Bidens. And the reason why is they're trying to get Joe Biden across the finish line. Again, it's for the election. They don't want any of this dirt coming out before the election because it's going to destroy Joe Biden. I think it already has, because there is just way, way too much corruption and too much stuff going on with the Biden family. Everybody knows that the Bidens have been selling influence. Everybody knows that Bidens are corrupt. Because when you're making millions of dollars from foreign countries like Ukraine, Romania, China, just all the corrupt countries. No countries like UK or Australia, nothing like that. Just the corrupt countries that we know are corrupt. And the Biden family cannot answer one basic question as to what the money was for. What goods and services did the Bidens provide to get all this money that they were funneling through all these different LLCs? These shell companies, which is the number one tactic for money laundering, is using a bunch of different shell companies to transfer money back and forth and split up all throughout all these shell companies. They specifically do that to conceal money. That is what they do. That's how they do it. It is a common tactic by money launderers. So we got a timeline here that essentially every single time so let's just go through it. So on March 18th, you had an assistant to the president visit the Penn Biden Center to take inventory of President Biden's documents. And then on May 6th, NARA, which is the National Archives, asked Donald Trump to turn over any presidential records he kept when leaving the White House. And then on January 17th, Donald Trump turns in over 15 boxes of documents to NARA. The documents are found to include some with classified markings. And then on February 9th, NARA refers the Trump documents case to the Justice Department. So from January to February, 1 month, not even 1 month, NARA goes from receiving 15 boxes of documents to turning it into the Justice Department and referring it to essentially turned into criminal proceedings. What NARA should have did was, if Donald Trump had documents and they wanted them, obviously he was cooperating because he cooperated with 2 subpoenas since then. But the first step you should have took was taking it to civil court, not a criminal. It doesn't instantly turn into a criminal proceeding. All right? And mind you, this is a month. So on March 30th, the FBI opens its investigation into Trump over the classified documents. So from January to March, 2 months, we went from Donald Trump turning over 15 boxes of documents to the FBI investigating Trump for documents. So April 11th, the White House counsel's office asks NARA to facilitate access to the 15 boxes of materials taken from Mar-a-Lago. May 24th, Dana Remus, a former White House counsel and assistant to the president, contacted Kathy Chung, the Department of Defense former assistant to Vice President Biden, to retrieve Biden's documents from the Penn Biden Center. So the whole time they're coming after Donald Trump in a criminal manner. You have, at the exact same time, Joe Biden's assistants and the deep state bureaucrats, like this woman, the Department of Defense former assistant to Vice President, Kathy Chung, going out and retrieving classified documents that Biden had all over the place. Okay, so on August 8th, former President Trump's estate Mar-a-Lago is raided by the FBI as part of the investigation into Trump's alleged mishandling of classified information. And then on June, Kathy Chung travels to the Penn Biden Center to collect documents. So again, at the same exact time they're raiding Donald Trump's home, these people are going all over Delaware to clean up for the Biden family and all the classified documents he's got all over the place. So June 30th, Anthony Burnell, assistant to the president and senior advisor to First Lady, and another White House employee went to Penn Biden Center to collect the documents, but could not fit them in their vehicle. October 12th, Ashley Williams, the special assistant to president and deputy director of Oval Office operations, and Pat Moore, President Biden's personal attorney, went to Penn Biden Center to do the, quote, the next wave of assessing the files and looking at boxes. So why does Biden's attorneys and assistants and former assistant directors, why do they all get to look into these classified documents and gather what they think is important? And who knows, what are they doing with these documents? Are they disappearing them? Are they burning them? Are they shredding them? We don't know. Why wasn't there an FBI raid into Joe Biden's classified documents? Why wasn't there an FBI raid on the Penn Biden Center where there was illegally stored classified documents? Gee, I don't know. Sounds like a massive cover-up for the Bidens so that they can get Joe Biden across the finish line. That to me sounds like a cover-up. That to me sounds like election interference. So October 13th of 2022, Bob Bauer, President Biden's personal attorney, texted Kathy Chung that Pat Moore had begun his sorting through the boxes at the center. President Biden's attorneys claimed they unexpectedly discovered documents from the Obama and Biden administration at the Penn Biden Center and notified NARA of the discovery. So this is where they're saying, oh, yeah, well, Joe Biden turned them over as soon as they found out. Well, there's only one problem with that, ladies and gentlemen, is Joe Biden shouldn't have had classified documents. That is illegal. A vice president or a senator is not supposed to have classified documents anywhere. Certainly not at his home in his garage next to his Corvette. So the whole notion that it's okay that Biden had them because he turned them over is ridiculous. It is not justice. It is not the law. In fact, it's almost like these people make stuff up as they go. Joe Biden's classified document scandal is 50 times worse than Donald Trump's. Joe Biden, just like Hillary Clinton, should not have had classified material at his home, at the Penn Biden Center. Hillary Clinton shouldn't have had classified material on her personal servers at her home, on her Blackberries that she ended up smashing with hammers. This is clear and obvious that there is two standards of justice. There is a standard that they are trying to create for Donald Trump, but as they're trying to go through with that standard, they realize that even they themselves cannot uphold themselves to that same standard. So as they're holding Donald Trump up to the standard, they're actually having to clean up and cover up for the Bidens at the same exact time, or else he would be in a worse position than Donald Trump. So what you have is them applying one standard to Donald Trump And they're pretending to apply the same standard to Joe Biden, but only after they send in attorneys to clean up the documents. Only afterwards, after they contact, assistant directors to try and fit classified material into cars, but they wouldn't fit. That's how many there are. So, it's clear and obvious. There's two different standards that they're trying to apply to Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I'm so sick of the excuse, Joe Biden turned him over immediately. Well, why did he have classified documents for 20 years in the Penn Biden Center? Why does this guy have classified documents at his home in his garage? And the biggest question we should be asking is, what were on those documents? What kind of access did Hunter Biden have? Did Hunter Biden see these documents, these classified documents? Did Hunter Biden sell these classified documents as part of their influencing business that they had? What type of documents did Hunter Biden give or show to his foreign business partners? These are the types of questions that we're having, because just like John Solomon said, in that 2014 memo that was located on Hunter Biden's laptop, there was documents on that laptop that read just like government briefings on sensitive Ukraine issues. A type of briefing that actually looks like it came from, an intelligence agency. These are the types of things and questions that the American people have. I don't think people are dumb. This is their problem that they have when trying to apply these two standards. They have to assume that the American people are dumb and can't notice the obvious double standard that they're trying to apply to Donald Trump and the Bidens. What type of material, what type of classified information were in those boxes at the Penn Biden Center that they were trying to clean up? What type of classified material was in those boxes at Joe Biden's home in his garage? And who has them now? Did Hunter Biden sell them? Did he sell them to Ukraine or Romania or any of these foreign businesses that just decided to give the Bidens a bunch of money? I don't know, I guess out of the kindness of their heart, because we still don't have an answer to why all these people got this money. They still cannot answer why the Bidens are getting millions and millions of dollars from foreign countries, from our foreign adversaries. They need to start answering these types of questions, because the American people have a right to know. And so the GOP, the very first thing they need to get back into, as soon as this House Speaker is decided on, they need to start sending subpoenas out and finding out what Robert Hur has found so far when it comes to Joe Biden and his classified document scandal. What types of documents were these? Were they sensitive? And not only that, but this briefing that they found in Hunter Biden's laptop, was that actually a document that Hunter Biden or Joe Biden had that was classified information that was part of their influence peddling scheme? Was that a product that they were selling? Literally, you may have a president and his son and his family selling American secrets, literally, as they're blaming Donald Trump for allegedly selling secrets. You may actually have a family actually selling secrets, literal classified secrets, while at the same time spewing out to the media, spewing out to the people by the administrative state media, the Pravda media, that Donald Trump allegedly sold secrets. It's incredible. The projection is off the charts. They are trying to convince the American people that Donald Trump should be persecuted because he did not want to hand back over classified documents, and accusing him of selling classified information or sharing it, whatever the case is, while simultaneously you have Joe Biden, who had classified documents in his garage that his son, who has a business that actually sells influence to our foreign adversaries, had access to those classified documents in the garage at Joe Biden's house. And we're supposed to believe that it's Donald Trump that should be railroaded here? We're supposed to believe that it's Donald Trump that should be criminally charged here? No, man. The American people are not dumb. They could see that Joe Biden and every single one of the Biden family members that received any of these millions and millions of dollars from our foreign adversaries should be called in under oath and made to testify where the hell they got this money, what the hell did they do with these documents that were laying in the garage, and what the hell were they selling for these millions and millions of dollars. The American people have a right to know. And if they want to start building trust and credibility back in these government institutions, if at all possible, which I don't think it is, if Christopher Wray at the FBI, if Merrick Garland at the Department of Justice, if they want to start rebuilding the trust and credibility back that the American people are supposed to have for their institutions, then they need to start coming out and being honest and stop this two-tier justice system that everybody can see in plain sight. Nobody's dumb. Except you have the Democrats that are completely okay with it because it gives them their desired outcome. These are the types of questions that need to be asked. What products, goods, or services were the Bidens selling in order to get millions of dollars from our foreign adversaries? Were any of the documents that were in Joe Biden's garage, were they sold or shared with these foreign adversaries? And if they were, what secrets were they? Why were these classified documents in Joe Biden's garage? Did Hunter Biden take any of these classified documents, scan them, copy them, share them with foreign adversaries in exchange for money so that he can go buy another crack rock? Like, these are the things the American people have a right to know. And I think it's disgusting that we have government taxpayer-funded institutions doing everything they can to cover up for one guy and persecute the other guy. This is exactly why Joe Biden's support is waning and Donald Trump's support is improving. Is because the American people are not dumb and they can see that there is obviously a two-tier justice system and double standards. A standard for Donald Trump and a standard for everybody else. And it's unsustainable. You cannot have a justice system that operates this way, to where only one side gets prosecuted and one side doesn't. A second example of a double standard of a two-tier justice system in just the last few weeks would be Jamal Bowman obstructing an official proceeding. You have a Democrat that was trying to delay a vote, an official proceeding, by pulling a fire alarm and then running away. Where's that investigation at? This is the type of things that the American people can see in broad daylight. And the media wants to try and cover this up by not talking about it, by not giving answers. But the American people can see. The American people now know that there was cocaine in their White House. And no American has any answers as to whose it was and why. Because we have government institutions too worried about covering up for Joe Biden so that he can win an election, instead of just maintaining equal justice for all. Instead of just maintaining the equal standards for everybody. If they were to just spend a fraction of the effort and resources investigating the Bidens, as they did the Trump family, the Joe Biden family, the Biden family would have been gone a long, long time ago. You have a man, Donald Trump, and his family that has been investigated for the last 9 years. You had a Trump family that was spied on. You had a Trump presidency that was spied on. He was investigated, 15 times. You had a FBI that was weaponized trying to commit a soft coup against a sitting president. Donald Trump is the most investigated man on the face of the planet. And even with all those investigations, has still not pulled up any type of illegality that they can show. I mean, everything that they pull up is all made up. It's all made up stuff. Donald Trump is so clean, they actually have to fabricate illegalities. If they were to just take a quarter of that effort and investigate Joe Biden, it would be over. The American people would see just how corrupt the family is. This Department of Justice and these intel agencies can't even investigate the Bidens once. They can't even begin to look into the Biden family because they know if they did, it would be over. The Biden administration would be donezo. Joe Biden would be impeached and possibly thrown in jail. He would have to resign, and then that would mean Donald Trump would be president. And they are willing to do everything. They are willing to burn this whole damn thing down just to get Joe Biden across the finish line, just to prevent Donald Trump getting in office. This is why these people, the only people I see saying Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, are Democrats. Republicans and regular American people know Donald Trump is not a threat to anything except for the military-industrial complex, this corrupt swamp, the corrupt bureaucracy in Washington, D.C., and the corrupt bureaucrats. Donald Trump is a threat to them, not to the American people. How do we know that? Because Donald Trump was already president for 4 years and gave this country the best years it's seen in decades. So this is why it's so in-your-face election interference. It's so in-your-face targeted persecutions against political opponents. Everybody can see it. Everybody can. I don't even know why these people are trying to hide it. Just come out and tell the American people, yes, we are persecuting Donald Trump because we don't like him and he scares us, and we are using every weapon that we have in the Justice Department against him to prevent him from being president. Just come out and say it because everyone knows it's what they're doing. Everybody knows. Even Democrats know. They don't want to admit it, though, because, like I said, the ends justify the means. And so if that means you have to destroy the justice system, the trust and credibility in all of our government institutions, they'll do it. Whatever it takes to prevent Donald Trump from being president, so that the American people don't get cheap gas, so that the American people don't have affordable living, so that the American people's quality of life doesn't improve. They like the American people in these situations. They like the American people in squalor like this. They like the situations the Biden administration has brought to this country. On the brink of war, all of a sudden Democrats are pro-war now. They're pro-war. Now they're support of Jews being slaughtered. These are the Democrats. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Biden and the Democrats must be defeated in 2024. Or I have no idea the direction this country's going in. But I assure you, if they were to just spend a fraction of the time that they spent into investigating Donald Trump, into investigating Joe Biden and his family, and I'm talking not through the House. It's not up to the House of Representatives to do a criminal investigation. This should be up to the Justice Department. The intel agencies like the FBI, the Secret Service, the DHS, the Department of Justice, the CIA, all these people should be investigating the Bidens, just like they were investigating Donald Trump and his family. But they're not. Why? Because they know if they did, Joe Biden would be done for. There's so many questions that the American people need answers to in regards to the classified documents that Joe Biden had as a senator, as a vice president, and what type of access did Hunter Biden have to those classified documents. Those are the answers the American people deserve. And so read this article from John Solomon. I'm gonna continue to keep up with the stuff happening over there in Israel, over there in Gaza, all that stuff, but I feel like everybody's talking about it, and there's so much domestic news that's coming and going that needs attention by the American people. Also, Louisiana governor just flipped from Democrat to Republican. Yes. So just real quick here, Attorney General Jeff Landry has won the governor's race in Louisiana in a massive landslide. Jeff Landry was endorsed by Donald Trump. He's a big Trump guy. Let's just hope he's ready to fight. I just pray to God that this man realizes what time it is. That is the biggest problem Republicans have right now, is we have a bunch of leaders all in these states, the attorney generals, the senators, the district attorneys. None of them realize what time it is. Okay, this is a big problem with the Republicans. So hopefully this guy Jeff Landry just won the governor's race and flipped it from Democrat to Republican, realizes what time it is. Also, when it comes to what Ted Cruz talked about how the U.S. is in more danger now of some type of domestic terrorist attack than it's been since September 11th, I agree with him. People need to stay vigilant. I'm not saying people need to be scared. Do not let these cowardice terrorists that hide behind Palestinians because they're too big of cowards to fight Israel on their own. Do not allow these people to terrorize us and keep us scared, because that's exactly what they want. All you need to do is stay vigilant. And again, if you have a gun, keep it on you. If you have one in the safe, get it out, make it available. Just be vigilant. That's all. Stay frosty, watch your six, all that good stuff. Because we just don't know, man. It's now, if anything were to happen, now is the time, because the Biden administration has opened these southern borders up and has made the American people so freaking vulnerable, man. So again, stay vigilant, keep an eye out for that. On the next episode, I want to talk about how Donald Trump is the most honest president that we've ever had. It's certainly in my lifetime, and I would probably have to say in at least 100 years. Yes, Donald Trump is the most honest president that we've ever had. And honestly, the most anti-war president that we've ever had. Seeing Donald Trump speak up about Hezbollah and these people freaking out because Donald Trump said that they were smart. Can we all stop pretending like these people aren't smart? Okay, we all get it. Yes, they're evil. I think that is other than the anti-Semites that are all throughout our country, mostly in Democrat colleges like Harvard and Washington University, I think everyone can universally agree that Hezbollah is an evil terrorist organization. So I don't think it's beneficial for the American people to sit here and talk about how evil they are. I think it would be more advantageous for people to start realizing just how smart these people are. All right, so Donald Trump is not... For these people to be crucifying Donald Trump because he said the Hezbollah is smart. They are smart. What are you going to do? Pretend like they're not smart and they're a bunch of idiots? They're not idiots. Of course they're smart. They're very evil. Yes, we know they're evil. Can we skip on to the next step and just admit that these people are smart? That's all Donald Trump was doing. As far as him, talking about Netanyahu, he's just being honest. The dude backed out of a special operation in killing a terrorist leader. And Netanyahu and Israel backed out at the last minute. What is he supposed to do? Lie? That's what I'm trying to say. Donald Trump is the most honest president we've had in a long, long time. Whether it's good or for bad, at least he's freaking honest. And that is all the American people want. And that is why the American people, even Democrats, moderates, and Republicans, are attracted to Donald Trump's honesty. He is authentic. He is the only president I've ever heard in my entire life admit that we had soldiers overseas in Syria to guard oil. And not only just guard the oil, but admit that they may be pillaging the oil. I've never heard a president talk like that, but yet the American people all know that's what we do. The American people all know that a lot of this stuff is over oil. So this guy comes out and he's honest to the American people, and he's supposed to be persecuted for that? No. This is why, in my opinion, Donald Trump was the most honest president we've ever had in decades, certainly in my lifetime. So anyways, we got a whole lot of stuff to talk about on the next show. I'm going to be getting on that right after this, and I'm going to be giving you guys some content. Sorry I didn't release anything on Saturday or Sunday this weekend. I had a ton of stuff I had to do. I just had no time. I was going to record a show on the road, but there's a lot of equipment that I have to bring, so I'm going to have to figure out how to kind of mobilize my podcasting equipment so that I can do podcasts on the road. So I was going to do an episode over the weekend, but I just wasn't home. So I'm going to make it up to you. I'm going to be putting out double the content this week, and there is no shortage of material to talk about. So stay tuned. Make sure you tune in to the next show. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, mainly domestically. If anything pops up that's happening over there in the Middle East, I will definitely bring that to your attention. So I'll be talking to you guys soon. I hope you guys had a great weekend. I want you guys to have a good day. Happy Monday. Don't worry, I'm there with you. I want you guys to have a good week. God bless you, and God bless America. You guys have a good day. Bye-bye.